down. Petco Park, a new beginning. Let's go. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Mitchell and Ness with the old school name. All of the homies holler Padre gang. Yeah, that.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 218 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. I'm your host, Ben Fadden, coming to you before the Padres try to win their first game of this Washington Nationals series. Last night was really rough. Darvish pitched amazingly well, goes 8 1/3 innings, but he ends up getting the loss. He ends up getting 3 earned runs charged to him, even though, let's be honest, I know he gave up those 2 hits in the ninth, but Josh Hader's the one that messed that up. And that's the main topic of discussion today, is Josh Hader and his struggles. His first time out, right, pitched really well against the Rockies, I thought. And then next 2 times out, or his last 2 times out, hasn't been good at all. And we're going to get into mainly last night's outing, his last 2 outings. Obviously, we could talk about the offense, and we're going to talk about the offense a lot. I'll talk about it in the series reaction. I could talk about it here if people in the chat or any super chats come up that want me to talk about the offense. Josh Bell, 1 for 30. Other guys in the lineup struggling. Profar, I think, is a little bit in a slump. I prefer Grisham to be more down in the order. I like what I'm seeing out of him, but I just don't think that it's best to have back-to-back lefties there, first and 2 in the lineup like last night. I know Profar just had a off day last night, and he pinch hit, so I don't foresee that happening again today. But the offense is struggling, but I wanted to touch on more Josh Hader in this episode. I didn't want to wait until Sunday to talk about it. I just don't know when Josh Hader is going to pitch again. I think it's a good discussion to have for people that are here live. Would you have Josh Hader come in a high leverage situation tonight when the Padres face the Nationals, and let's say Snell goes 7 innings, 6 innings, has a quality start, and it's a 1-run or a 2-run game? Do you want Hader going out there in the 9th inning or the 8th inning, let's say the 9th inning, in a 1-run game? Are you confident in him going out there again? So that's a question I'll leave to you guys in the chat if you want to give me your thoughts on that, or your just thoughts in general on Josh Hader or anything Padres related. Before we get started, this episode is brought to you by GAGLIONE Bros, famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. You can visit GAGLIONEBros.com to view their entire menu, their address on Friars Road, the phone number, and you can visit Petco Park as well if you're at Petco today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, Wednesday against Cleveland. They're there all year, upper deck, and their main stand is down the down the third base line, pretty much in left field, by the Bally Sports San Diego pregame booth. Had some cheesesteak fries as well. Had some of those last night. Those were amazing. So I encourage you to check them out. All right, so let's get to Josh Hader here. So obviously he was acquired by the Padres, and I was super excited. My reaction to this, anyone that was here, they know that I was excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's the best closer in baseball. Estier Ruiz and Robert Gasser and whoever else they gave up, like, they're not going to hugely impact this team this year, right? And they're not just getting Josh Hader for this year, but they're getting him for next year too. And so that's definitely like making it clear that the Padres are going for it for this year and next year. And then that's obviously followed up by them getting Juan Soto and Josh Bell and Brandon Drury. And it's like, wow, Soto and Hader's timelines are lining up pretty well. Soto's under control for 1 more year than Hader, but they're both going to be here. It's like, okay, they're really going for it here. And they still are. But the Hader stuff right now, it's not an experiment because it's going to be more than 1 year. The Hader project right now, if that's what you want to call it, it hasn't been working right now. And I'm not going to sit here and say Hader's not the closer anymore, right? I'm not going to say he shouldn't be pitching in any high leverage situations anymore, right? It's been 2 appearances or 2 bad appearances. It's been 3 appearances in total. That would be way too early to just jump off of the Hader bandwagon when I was so excited about getting him when they did trade for him, right? So I'm not going to do that, but we do need to go through his struggles. And why is he struggling? Would you have him be in high leverage situations, especially tonight? And that's what this episode's about, and that's what this conversation's about. So, getting into last night. So, he came in with 2 on after Darvish gave up those 2 runners. Darvish pitched amazing last night, 8 and a third, 3 earned runs, 5 hits, struck out 6, didn't walk anyone. He has the second most quality starts in Major League Baseball, 18 of them. I saw reading Kevin Acey's newsletter this morning. He pitched well. He did his job. And some I did see some people say that, hey, Darvish should not have been taken out. He should have stayed in that game. You make him lose the game because of how well he's been pitching, right? But I look at it as he was at 96 pitches. He did give up 2 hits in that inning. Bob Melvin, he has had a history of allowing his starters, especially this season, to go farther than probably some other managers would. And I credit him for that, having trust in his starters. I think that's a good thing. And he did that again last night. Like he gave Darvish 2 base runners, and they had a mound visit in between the 2 base runners, and then they pulled him. And Darvish can be frustrated. I understand that he probably wanted to be in that game still, and he still thought he could get outs. But you also have Josh Hader there in the bullpen that hasn't been used in 9 days, right? And that also brings up the conversation or the talking point of, well, Hader shouldn't have been pitching because he hadn't been used in 9 days. Hadn't been used since last Tuesday. Why is he coming in a higher leverage situation? But if you're Bob Melvin, you're probably looking at it as, okay, Darvish is at almost 100 pitches here. He's given up 2 hits in this inning. I have a guy that hasn't been used in a while. He's fresh. We got Josh Hader to pitch in these types of situations, these high leverage situations. I'm going to go use this guy. I think that's what Bomel was thinking there. And, excuse me, he was saying to the media after the game, quote, "We brought him in here for a reason," end quote, talking about Josh Hader. And I agree. I know that there was concern about Josh Hader being rusty and all that, but at the end of the day, he just has to pitch better. He was brought in to this Padres team to be the closer or to be the best reliever on this team to pitch in these high leverage situations. And so if you're not going to use him when a starter's at 96 pitches and he hasn't pitched in 9 days, okay, when are you going to pitch the guy? So I was fine with the move. For me, it just comes down to Josh Hader just has to pitch better. His previous outing entering last night, he went 2/3 of an inning against the Giants. That was that night Manny walked it off and saved him. Musgrove pitched well that outing or that night. Hader came in, blew it, gave up 3 earned runs, 1 hit, walked 3 guys, and then he didn't pitch. He was up in the bullpen, I believe, in Washington, I want to say. I think he was up maybe once in Miami. And Bob Melvin was also saying that Hader has told him that he doesn't like really pitching in situations that aren't like those big situations. He prefers, this was from Kevin Acey's newsletter this morning, saying that Hader prefers to stay ready outside of being in games just to be in games. So, he wants to pitch in the games that matter. He doesn't want to just be pitching out there when he doesn't need to be pitching out there, if that makes sense. I don't know I don't think it's a lack of wanting to be in the game. It's just he wants to have the same mindset every time out, and maybe it's hard for him to have that same mindset when it's 9-1 compared to when it's 1-1 like last night, right? And this was Hader, a quote from Hader. I was reading this same thing from AC. Quote, "I do my work behind the scenes when no one looks, making sure I get off the mound, making sure that I'm trying to stay as consistent as possible." Um, Hader said he felt good, just got behind on Cruz, obviously tried the back foot slider on Voit, hit him, But Hader said he feels like everything was coming out pretty crisp, and that's what I saw. Um, Hader, his outing, obviously, it was not great. And obviously, he comes in, hits Voit. After, by the way, I thought he had it was a pretty good at bat. Like, I thought he was pitching Voit pretty well. I thought he had Voit on Voit's heels, if that makes sense. Like, Voit had a hard time. It looked like catching up to the fastball. Um, Hader's pitches in that at bat, they were just missing. And then he throws the slider that bounces in front of Voit and then hits him. So he was in that at bat, which I was encouraged by. Some of the pitches that were misses last night, they were close. When I just watched it back earlier this morning. The next at bat, though, bases loaded, he walks Cruz. Some of them were close, but some of them weren't. The ball four was kind of close, fastball in, but some of them weren't. And so it was a little bit of a mixed bag there, right? Where some at bats they were close, some pitches they weren't. There was that one at bat, I forget who it was, but he hit a weak grounder to Crony at second, and Crony is playing back, can't do anything about it, and it's a hit, bases loaded. Like, that's not on Hader, right? He made his pitch there, so I guess I can be encouraged by that. But right, I know some people say, "Well, Ben, look at the results," and I understand that. Like, there's not a whole lot to be encouraged by from what we're seeing out of Josh Hader, obviously. But before we get more into the negatives here, I wanted to point out, like, there were some. It looked like he was close there. The good news is the velocity is still there, 99 fastball. Um, there's obviously good movement on the breaking ball and stuff. He just has to locate it. And there were some pitches, I think, to that Void at bat where he had the breaking ball and it was just down, ball just down. And for me, it's like, okay, you got to just attack, you know. Excuse me, I had to cough there. Just attack. Like, the fastball, you're throwing 99, but it's just out or it's just up. Throw challenge him. Right? You threw a fastball in the zone to Voit there, and he fouled it off. He couldn't catch up to it, right? Fouled it off. Throw that again. Make him hit you, right? We see, the scouting report about Hader, and when he comes over, it's like he's this big strikeout guy, right? And there's maybe besides Edwin Diaz, there's like no one else you'd rather have on the mound, no other closer on the mound that you'd want in like a high leverage situation if there's a runner on third or something, because Hader can strike out guys. But when he's nibbling like this, for me, it's I don't think he can strike out all of these guys when he's doing that. Like, I think he just has to change his approach. And he's like, go into a game one time, maybe it's tonight or whenever he gets in, and if he blows it throwing strikes, that's one thing. But he's been blowing it not throwing strikes. That's the problem, right? Hitting Voit, not a strike. Walking Cruz, not strikes, right? So that's my problem. The Rockies game, his first game that he pitched, it felt like he was more attacking the zone there. And he got a strikeout, and he ended up not allowing any runs there. I thought he looked pretty good. But it's kind of like Snell earlier in the year. It just feels like nibbling, trying to be perfect. Sometimes when you have a 99-mile-an-hour fastball like that and you have that breaking ball, throw the breaking ball. To lefties, throw the breaking ball right at their ribs and then have it curve into the strike zone, To righties, you could do that too. Not to the righties' ribs, obviously, like trying to throw it there and then have it curve because then you're throwing it behind him. But be confident in that pitch. Throw it to the lefty's batter's box and try to be confident in that pitch. Throw it with confidence and have that breaking ball come across the plate. A little of a backdoor breaking ball, With the fastball, challenge him. If you throw a fastball down the middle at 99, as we saw with Luis Garcia in Miami, okay, maybe that won't work. But at least with Hader, you got to try it, right? Because what he's doing right now, throwing balls that are almost strikes, that's obviously not good enough. Like, these hitters know, they're so good with their eyes. Like, they know what they're doing here. So what I would do with Hader is just attack. If you blow one attacking the zone, I'd rather see that and then work to the corners of the zone instead of continuing to try to be perfect on the corners of the zone, if that makes sense. Getting back to more questions about the game, I mean, about Hader specifically, should have Darvish stayed in? Like I talked about, I don't think so. He was at 96 pitches. Should have Hader come in that situation? I think so. Like Bob Melvin said, this is the guy that the Padres traded for. You traded him. You traded for him to come into these types of situations. He's one of the best relievers in baseball. You know, like you got to throw him in there. He just has to be better. That's where I am with this. If you didn't want Hader in the game, if you're listening to this or watching this and saying, Ben, no, Hader shouldn't have been in the game there. I wanted someone else in the game. Okay, then who is that? Do you want Luis Garcia in the game? Do you want Nick Martinez in the game, who'd pitch back-to-back days, I believe? Do you want Morejon in the game? Suarez, they all pitched the day before. I don't trust Steven Wilson, obviously, in that spot. Tim Hill, more of a matchup guy, more of a, okay, we have to pitch him in extra innings. Okay, we'll do it. Like, Josh Hader's the guy to me. Especially yesterday, looking at the bullpen situation, the bullpen chart that I put out every day on the Twitter at Talking Friars. Who else are you going to go to there? So I guess for me, I guess it came down to, do you keep Darvish in or do you go to Hader? And I agree with Bomel there. Like, go to Hader. Hadn't pitched in 9 days. I think that he should be pitching more consistently. I agree with that. For anyone that wants to say that, like a closer, I understand Hader wanting to pitch in the important situations, but when you're not getting those important situations, still got to go pitch. Like, still have the switch your mindset and say, okay, I know the score is this, but guess what? I want to still go help this team. I want to still impact this team and keep the score at what it is, so this offense can maybe have a chance to come back in the next inning or whenever it is. I know they were just on the road, so maybe that doesn't, if they are down in the 9th inning, there's no bottom of the 9th for him to pitch. But just be more flexible and more open. If you know these situations, these winning, closing situations aren't there, then pitch. Try to go impact your team in another way. Nick Martinez this year, he's pitching in every different type of situation. Chris Matt's pitching in every type of situation. I know closers, they want to be closers and they don't think that they're anything but a closer, right? But for me, it just goes back to, like, you're pitching once every 9 days right now. Like, you got to impact the team more than that. And hopefully they have a lead in the 9th inning today and Hader can come in. That's a question I'll ask you guys right now. If the Padres have a lead in the 9th inning today, do you bring in Josh Hader? His last two outings combined. Inning and a third, so this is against the Giants and then against the Nationals last night. Inning and a third, 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, only 1 strikeout. And part of that's because he's not throwing enough strikes right now. He's trying to be perfect, or some of the pitches just aren't anywhere near the zone. He's walked, I put this out on Twitter, he's walked or hit 50% of the batters that he's faced in his last 2 games. 6 out of 12 of them, he's walked or hit them. You just got to throw more strikes, attack. I said it already before a few minutes ago. If you're going to lose, at least throw strikes and get pounded. I'd rather have that than you lose walking guys, the bases loaded, hitting guys to load the bases. I'd rather had him give up the lead last night on a liner to left field than him walk in the go-ahead run. I know he gave up both. He walked Cruz to bring in the run, and then he gave up a liner to left to make it 3-1. But my point is, I'd rather have him pitch to contact and lose than lose by. He's not scared. I'm not saying he's scared, but just attack. I'd rather have him attack than lose by trying to be perfect and trying to hit every spot. You have 99, just use it. Let's see what happens. You have that breaking ball. Use it. Throw it for a strike. See if they can hit it. Like, that breaking ball is nasty. See if they can hit it in the strike zone. They're not falling for it when it's outside the strike zone, so see if they can hit it inside. Just changing the approach a little bit, is what I would say to him. He's just gotta pitch better. Like, I know I'm sure a lot of people were talking about it last night, like, "Oh, should have kept Darvish in or shouldn't have gone to Hader," and for me, it's like, I already talked about this. Darvish was at 96 pitches. He'd given it his all. I know he probably thinks that he had a lot left, and I was in left field and saw him come into the dugout, and he walked fast right into the tunnel, and he was pissed off, and he can be pissed off. I like that. But why is Josh Hader on this team if you're not gonna lose him if you're not gonna use him in the high leverage situations? So, let's get to the chat here. That was my main talking points, of this episode. Don't think I missed anything in what I wanted to say. Yeah, last 2 outings haven't been good. I'm still confident in him. Well, I'm not I'll say this. I'm not confident in how he's pitching right now. I'm confident in Hader overall. Like, is he gonna bounce back or not? I'm confident that he will this season, and I would put him back out there tonight if it was a high leverage situation, um, just to see, and you just hope it doesn't happen again. Like, at the end of the day, this is the guy they acquired. This is who they acquired. They acquired one of the best relievers in baseball, so you gotta use him. None of you can't keep doing this once every 9 days stuff? MCC says his 12-year-old son has better command. Yeah, sometimes it's what it's felt like. Steven's World says, if not use Hader, then who could they have brought in? Their bullpen has been blowing ball games all year. Yeah, that's what I talked about. I mean, Chris Matt, he's not high velocity. I know he throws strikes, but he's not high velocity. Maybe Bob Melvin, Ruben Niebla, they wanted a high velocity guy in there. To Vase Voigt and whoever, Nelson Cruz, guys behind him. Groovy T says Hader needs to prove himself before we bring him in high leverage spots, especially with runners on. Yeah, I mean, but he proved himself in Milwaukee for however long he was there. I know he wasn't hot before the trade to the Padres, but when you look at his track record, like, he's already been a four-time All-Star, three-time reliever of the year, and this wasn't like Hosmer where it was 7 years ago. You know, this is recent. It's a recent track record. So yeah, does he have to prove himself with the Padres? Sure, but again, you got Josh Hader to use him in the high leverage situations, to use him in the ninth inning. You got to use him more consistently, I think. Edison says, how can they lose against the worst team in Major League Baseball? This team is not ready to compete in the postseason. Well, the good news is the postseason isn't today. It's not tomorrow. It's not the next day. They still have, a month and a half left. Um, the offense is the bigger reason over Josh Hader why this team isn't winning. Like, the offense, you can make the argument they should have scored 4 or 5 runs last night, and the only run they scored was on a Manny home run. He has a 10-game hitting streak. You know, yeah, having one out last night, bases loaded, having Soto and Grisham strike out. Grisham was before Soto, but those two guys strike out. You had Myers strike out with the runner with Crony on first and no outs. Earlier in the game, you had Soto on third, I believe, and I forget what happened, but they didn't convert there. Yeah, disappointing. The offense has to be better. Josh Bell's got to be better than 1 for 30. A lot of guys in the lineup have to be better. Um, but I just wanted to hit on this Hater topic because I know a lot of the focus is going to be in the offense. But, there's a lot of questions with Hater, but I'm still confident in him in the long term. with the offense, I want to see. I did see in Kevin Acey's newsletter, he does have some numbers here. Brandon Drury, 3 hits in his past 23 at bats. He's had some big moments, but that's not great. Myers, 1 for 8 with 5 strikeouts last 2 games. I don't know why AC put Mazzara in his newsletter because Mazzara doesn't play anymore, so I'm not even going to talk about him. That's not even relevant. Um, yeah, it's just, Juan Soto 0 for 3 last night. He walked. He's reached base in 23 consecutive games, but you'd like to see some power, right? You'd like to see more than 1 home run with the Padres. But he's been great. Like, I'm not going to trash Soto. I'm not. I I didn't like him, like, swinging for the fences last night, but I'm not gonna say, "This guy sucks and he needs to tighten it up," and, like, I just think staying within himself would have been much better last night, bases loaded. He was just taking a lot of big swings, one hand on the bat. He's usually more of a two-hand on the bat guy, like, that's what I've noticed, like, when he's going to the opposite field, um, just staying within himself there. You have the bases loaded there. You have 2 outs, so you're not trying to lift anything. You're just trying to get a base hit there and score some runs, like, stay within himself. It didn't look like he did, and he was pissed off after it, slamming his helmet, and it rolled all the way to Manny, on the on-deck circle. So, to be picky, yeah, I'd like to see more power out of Soto, but he's been amazing. So, getting on base every game in a Padre uniform, so I'm not gonna go complain about him too much. Brisk asks Rogers or Hader. Well, we don't have that option anymore. I mean, I'd still take Hader easily. Rogers has struggled with the Brewers. Even so, it's not like if the Padres had Taylor Rogers and the Brewers still had Josh Hader, the Padres win the game or yesterday. Like, maybe they do, but the offense scored 1 run. They didn't come through, right? Josh Hader, Taylor Rogers, they're both struggling right now. I'd rather have Hader. When both are on, I'd rather have Hader. He's the better reliever. I wonder what it's baseball reference isn't gonna work. I wanna see how Taylor Rogers I wanna actually look at his numbers. I know it's been bad. So it doesn't go into the splits? Okay, so let's see here. In the second half of the season, Rogers has a 8.68 ERA. In August, his ERA is 7.94, so he's been with Milwaukee pretty much the entire month. 5 and 2/3 innings, 6 hits. He's given up 5 earned runs, two home runs. Yeah, not great. So both guys aren't pitching great. But I would pick Hader over Rogers. I think you're going a little far with this, MCC 951, saying Hader's done, can't be trusted. I mean, you got to throw him out there. You can't give up on the guy after 3 appearances, after 2 bad ones. I know they've been really bad, but like, this guy's your closer. You got to trust in him more than that. The Padres gave Rogers way more than 3 appearances to get something right, and he didn't. They pitched Taylor Rogers more consistently than once in 9 days, twice in 9 days or whatever. They gotta pitch Hader more consistently. I think if they pitch him more consistently, you'll see him have more success. But it's a really small sample size right now, and he's had 2 bad outings out of those 3, and so, yeah, the numbers are gonna be really, really bad. And Brisk here says about yesterday, Martinez would have been better than Hader, so you're pitching him on 3 straight days. I don't think the Padres wanna do that. Flat Life, this isn't baseball, but he says, "Who do you root for in a basketball season?" Well, SDSU for college, and then NBA, um, Knicks and Warriors. I used to work for the Knicks in New York, uh, and then I've liked the Warriors since I don't even know when, like when would have that been? Since I started following the NBA like closely, pretty much Steph's full Warriors career. Alokos, he's saying season's over, season's done. Like, that's overreacting. The Padres are still a playoff team right now. This offense is too talented to continue hitting like this. Josh Hader is too talented to continue pitching like this. And again, I think if they pitched him more consistently, his numbers wouldn't look as bad. I think that's an overreaction. And I believe I see a Dodger logo in Aloko's profile picture here for YouTube. So I think you're just trying to bash the Padres, to be honest. Any more questions? Any more comments here? Padres and the Nationals later tonight. I'll be there. I'll have the pregame show, probably during batting practice. The Joe Musgrove bobblehead yesterday looks pretty good. I'll have the series reaction on Sunday after the game. Tatis met with Preller yesterday, if anyone wants an update on that. What else? We don't know what happened in that meeting with Preller. According to Kevin Acee, it was a long meeting. Don't know when Tatis is going to talk to the team. He's expected to meet with Peter Seidler tomorrow. That's the update on Tatis. He was expected to be at Petco yesterday, then he wasn't. And then he met with Preller at an undisclosed location, probably Tatis or Preller's house, I would think. And I guess they had a long meeting. Hopefully Tatis owned up to it and he was accountable, you know? Yeah, I got a bobblehead, Brisk. Yep. Yeah, my mom says maybe if he had more opportunities while he has been here. Yeah, like, I'm not, when I say that Hader should be pitching more consistently, and if he has been, or if he was pitching more consistently, then his numbers would be better, it would be lower. I'm not saying that like in a way to excuse Hader of these two bad outings. I'm just saying it's probably hard for him to get into, I don't know, the flow of the game or to be comfortable on the mound or I don't know, to really feel confident when he's pitching twice in 9 days. You know, like it's Josh Hader, one of the best relievers in the game. You would think that the Padres, regardless of save situation, non-save situation, they'd want to use him consistently because he has that kind of impact, you know? And they just haven't been able to use him that consistently. Well, they've been able, they just haven't done that. They haven't chosen to do that. And I talked about Hader saying that he doesn't prefer pitching in those situations that he's not needed, like those high leverage situations. He wants to pitch in those situations only, not the low leverage situations or whatever when games are out of hand. But like pitching twice in 9 days, like you got to pitch more consistently than that. Like change the mindset. Like I said earlier in this episode, change the mindset. Try to just attack the zone. If you lose by attacking the zone, I'd rather see that than lose by walking and hitting guys. So change that approach and then change your mentality then. Like if you don't want to pitch in non-save situations or non-high leverage situations, but that's the only situations the Padres are in for a week, well, I'm sorry. I think you got to pitch in those situations still. Change your mindset and say, hey, I'm not going to look at the scoreboard. It's 0-0 or it's 1-1 like last night or it's 2-1 Padres or whatever. And, say, hey, I'm here to not give up any runs, to keep the score where it's at and keep the Padres in this game if he's going into a losing game, like just change your mentality then. That's pretty much what I have to say about that. I mean, he just has to be better. Attack the zone, attack the zone, attack the zone. All right. Okay, so we have another question here. Any chance Tatis gets shoulder surgery? I think there is a chance, yeah. I think the Padres have the leverage on that. Like with the motorcycle accident, Tatis already said that he wasn't going to do it in the offseason. that was against the team's wishes. And then he does this, and he didn't play one single game for the Padres this year. No home runs, no impact for the team this year. You want to earn back the Padres' trust a little bit, get in their good graces a little bit. Yeah, I think that might be smart for Tatis to have the shoulder surgery. I think there is a chance that he does do it. I think it's still a low chance, but I think it's a better chance now than it was before we heard about the suspension because he's out for the year. We're not going to see him till what? May next year? Late April, maybe? So, it's a lot of time to recover, you know? So, you're not making an impact this year. Maybe go stabilize the shoulder, um, and do what the Padres want you to do. If you want to earn back some trust, maybe goes and does that, you know? All right, that's going to do it. Episode 218. Hader is struggling. I tried to offer my thoughts on that, what he should be doing, how he should be changing his approach. I still think you should put him out there in a high leverage situation tonight just to put him out there and show your confidence in him. None of it. Stop doing this 2 appearances and 9-10 day thing. You got to put him out there more consistently. I don't care what the score is. Like, maximize his impact. You know, you're trying to hold on to a playoff spot here, right? Maximize his impact. So it sucked that Darvish had to get the loss last night. He didn't deserve it. But I'll be back for the series reaction on Sunday. Pre-game shows today, tomorrow, Sunday. I'll be at the game today and Sunday. So if you see me around, say hi. Go Padres, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.